death threats, car chases, guns, alleged kidnapping, Diddy's former assistant turned executive delivered explosive testimony week 3 of the Diddy trial.
Lately, I've just been feeling like, I don't feel like Diddy is guilty of the things that he's doing. And as I've been seeing on the internet, it seems like he's on trial for being not a nice person. And I just...
Nah, for what I've seen, I think they're going to get him on the certain letters of the law. He might not have been doing, but the certain letters of the law, they might get him on. He might get off on it.
Well, I believe he's
up
a criminal.
In the air right now.
I believe he's a criminal. I believe he's a woman beater, domestic violence guy, just an overall bad person. But I just don't believe he's guilty of racketeering or human trafficking. I believe everybody had their own free will.
What I think they're going to do is they're going to hit him on the sex trafficking, bringing the escorts, back and forth across state lines and stuff. They're going to pick that. I can see that, but like I say, it all depends on the jury.
The crazy part about it is when we hear trafficking, that means somebody is forcefully have with somebody against their will.
Not necessarily. Trafficking is exactly what it says. Trafficking from one place to another. That's not against your will.
No, when we sit here, how the law is usually be portrayed and out to the public, they're getting guys who are forcefully kidnapping women, men, or children, putting them in slave and using them as prostitutes and making money off of them. You don't usually see stories about somebody having prostitutes going from one state to the next. And like I said, usually that's attached to somebody's doing it against their will.
And that's true. That's why I said if they hold it to the letter of the law, then it's not like I'd be like he's just a bad person.
Again, we're sitting here. He's on trial for his life, livelihood.
Yeah.
There's laws against protecting you about what you do in your bedroom.
Yeah, it's laws against what you do in your bedroom, but you keep it in your bedroom.
You're right.
He didn't keep it in his bedroom.
So the only thing this is where I've been saying for the whole time. If it wasn't for this tape being leaked out to the public, they don't have a case.
They really don't.
The only reason why they have, and they really don't now, they just have something to where they got people picking sides and they're triggering women as the actual women that has been abused, physically, mentally, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's triggering them. So that's the reason why it's interest in this shit. And the crazy part about it is you can't convict them on domestic violence charges because the law has exceeded. So you couldn't get them on that, which technically it would have been a misdemeanor. So let's keep that in mind. What he did, that would have been a misdemeanor charge.
Yeah.
So we're talking about federal charges that where he's the only one that has an organization to where he's the only one that's orchestrating this whole type of shit. That don't make sense.
I mean, that's why they're hitting him with the RICO, because he's the head of the organization.
But again, when you hit him with a RICO, that means you got people up under you.
But they're proving that Puff had people up under him. Like
there's nobody else arrested though.
When he went, but they're still proving that there were people up under him. When he went to Kid Cudi house, it had to be who? Some of his subordinates that went.
Again, there's no audio, there's no video of him being in his house. It's hearsay.
When Cassie asked him to pick her up because she said Diddy had found out about them. He said they went to a hotel, but not long after, he took a call from one of Diddy's employees that he and Cassie were friends with. Diddy had forced her to go with him to his house, and she alleged that he had broken in. He immediately got into his car to return to his property. His security cameras had been moved, and his dog locked in his bathroom. Christmas gifts he'd bought for his family had also been opened.
It wasn't confirmed?
It wasn't confirmed. So all you doing is tainting the jury to confuse them. So as a defense lawyer, it's my job to make sure, hey, you hearing this, but it's not confirmed. He's never been charged. So this is somebody who has an axe to grind. against Mr. Combs.
Okay, well, this week at the Diddy trial, second assistant took the stand and claiming to be a second victim, and it's a former assistant going by the name of Mia.
Did you ever call the police after you saw incidents of violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie?
No,
Why not?
for multiple reasons. I believe that Puff's authority was above the police. This was also a time period. This is years and years before social media, Me Too, or any sort of example where someone had stood up successfully to someone in power such as him. Also, like I was taught to believe that this fell under the confidentiality or loyalty of like Puff's business.
She testified that there was a pattern of abuse and sexual assault by Diddy throughout her employment from 2009 to 2017. Testimony included a lot of graphic shit about forced sexual encounters, being held captive, and witnessing Diddy's violent behavior towards Cassie. She described a feeling of being terrified and trapped and unable to go to the police due to Combs' power and influence. It was also testified about cleaning up the hotel rooms after freak-offs and disposing of drugs, alcohol, and other items.
She's on a payroll, so
yeah.
If you on a payroll, and I'm sure he wasn't lowballing you on your payroll and shit. I mean, if he tell you that's to clean up, then he clean the shit up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you getting over, back in those days, I know you getting over six figures. Easy.
Oh, of course.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's not like you being forced to do nothing. You're being paid.
Now, what Diddy's team did was cross-examine her, and they found out some information that they pulled up some old social media posts from her saying that she was showing love towards Diddy and calling him a mentor, and this was after supposedly these assaults had taken place. And they also had a financial settlement going where she received some money after she left his employment. Apparently, Diddy shut down the sector of the company that she was working for, and
So he gave her severance pay.
he gave her severance pay of $400,000, and after the lawyers took their cut, she was left with $200,000. So they've been saying, if this dude is so horrible, why were you online praising him? Why were you sitting here showing him love and affection if he was just such this horrible guy?
And he took care of his severance pay when he shut down a part of his organization, et cetera, et cetera. And you know it's some BS because he paid up Cassidy when she dropped that shit, he paid her ass up with no problem. Everybody else, he has it. So that tells you it's some bullshit with all the rest of them, because that if you really have some dirt on their ass and you bypass the police, you're going straight for the bag, and to prove somebody guilt in a civil suit is lower than criminal court. So let's keep that in mind. And if he didn't pay you still, that lets you know your shit weak.
Yeah, so they're trying their best to build a case, but yeah, there's just a lot of holes getting poked in theories.
Nancy Grace said she'll see you as sentencing. That's what she said.
Nancy, she hates anybody.
Yeah.
I'm
you know
just
what I
telling you
thought was
Nancy Grace
weird
said.
with the Nancy Grace thing was the whole Tootsie Roll thing where she pulled out
Y'all
the
did
Tootsie
see
Roll.
that.
Ever since I started investigating Sean Combs, all I've thought about was candy.
That was
And I just
wild.
think it's weird that they're so obsessed with black dudes, meat.
Genitalia.
Yeah. And there's always comments hovering around that. There's always some white person bringing it up casually on the internet.
Of course.
And now you got Nancy Grace bringing it up, allegedly, Diddy's D size and stuff like that. And it's just weird because you see all these people talking about it.
This is the number one question. Is Diddy going to take the stand?
No.
Oh, see that.
There's no need
Should he
for
take the stand?
No.
Oh,
One, he shouldn't. Two, there's no need for him to get to take the stand.
I mean, if you're fighting for your life, you don't think it's a need to take the stand?
No.
For my life.
No, because number one, if you get your ass up there,
So if he gets-
listen,
okay.
if he get his ass up there to cross it, he's opening himself to cross-examine from the prosecution. So whatever your defense may or may not have touched on, they're gonna bring it up and they're gonna try to make you continue to make it look like the bad guy. I'm on the side to where, as of now, you don't talk and say shit. You let them prove you guilty.
So you're just gonna let your fate hang in there. I mean, yeah, you gave him all this money.
Listen,
so, but
hold on. The team of lawyers that he has on his team, them are top notch. Them ain't no rubber dub scrub ass type
and
lawyers.
you're right. I'm not saying that.
So if I paid you that goddamn,
but
if I paid you
my
that,
life is on the line,
and if I paid you that money, I should not have to get my black ass up on that damn stand.
Exactly. Diddy is not. Well, he is media trained, but he's not a lawyer. He's not probably knowing the legal ramifications of things. So they would have to coach him on that shit real heavy.
Right.
And then, while probably cross-examining him, he might slip and say something to incriminate him.
Exactly.
So it's better for.
So we just gonna play the odds.
That's what you supposed to.
Yeah.
If you paying them top end lawyers, that's what the he paying for. You supposed to make sure my black ass. Listen, man, I had a little situation to where I'm looking in on this game and shit. I talked to this law firm and shit. At the time, it wasn't even legal for them gambling yet. They passed it, of course, a couple years later. So they was like, they brought the notion up to me. You ain't scared to go to prison? I'm like, no. The money I'm paying you to represent me, I expect you to keep my ass out. That's what you supposed to do. This ain't no cheap ass shit. We talking about 6 figures.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We know, and
this
we know,
go either way
and we
right
know.
now. That's how it feels.
Listen. If I told y'all when this shit started from the beginning, I said, even if this Negro do get convicted, what I told you what was gonna happen. I told you, goddamn, don't be surprised. Trump giving that pardon.
Yeah.
And he was already asked that question, and he ain't shut it down. He basically like, yeah, he tiptoe around it, because he ain't want to push the table on the fact of how he actually feel about it. But just the fact that he even mentioning that, I told you, he's one way or another, and Trump definitely gonna pardon his ass because he know as of right now. He's cherry picking. He done pardoned young NBA YoungBoy. He done who else he pardoned?
Larry Hoover.
Larry Hoover. What's the white people reality TV show? People they
Grizzlies.
Yeah, he done pardoned. But the thing that I be trying to get people to understand is what all of them have in common. They're rich. They got money
and influence.
And they got influence. Mm-hmm. So me, you, all us three, we ain't got none of that. So while everybody's celebrating that shit, y'all should be scared because what that tells you is if you ain't got no money, you.
Okay, now Charles said it sounds smart not to get on the stand, but look how that turned out for Tory. So.
But that's what I'm saying. But you're willing to. And like you say, look, I paid y'all a lot of money.
Tory ain't had no top end lawyers neither now.
I won't say that he didn't have
top end lawyers. He didn't. Listen, we talking about about Diddy is a billionaire. Tory is not even a millionaire.
No, Tory's a millionaire.
So okay, but Tory brought in some half-ass lawyers?
Say what?
You think he brought in some half-ass lawyers?
Yeah, he did. The fact that they let his ass get the fact they allow his ass to get
locked up.
Yeah. He didn't get the best. He cut the corners on them shits.